Good evening and welcome to Drew's Book Reviews. Today's book, The Defenders of Shannara, The Sorcerer's Daughter. This is the final book in the Defender of Shannara series, at least the final one as far as I know. As I understand, Terry Brooks will be putting out the first book in his final Shannara epic next month. Really looking forward to getting that one, for sure. So, The Defenders of Shannara, 334 pages, quick read, much quicker than I usually read, but it was just that good. Can't help yourself when you're reading such an awesome book. So this book, it does take place a few years after the events of the Darkling Child. Paxson and Leofer have lived happily together in Paranor with the other druids and the Ardrise, the leader of the Druid Order, for a few years now. Paxson has continued his employment as the defender and sword guardian of the Druid Order and personal guard. The Ardrise, Paxson, and a host of delegates, however, has been sent off over to Eresheg, which is the capital of the Federation in Southland. So their purpose is to begin peace talks between the Federation and the capital. The Federation and the capital and the Prime Minister and the Druids. However, the peace talks are interrupted by a demonic attack by a Sleeth, a creature of shadow that kills all the Federation delegates and sends the Druids fleeing for their lives while being pursued by the Federation army, who seeks revenge for the murder of the Federation Prime Minister and the Peace Conference delegates, as they're the prime suspects who launched this attack against them. In the meantime, however, back at Paranor, Leofer and Chrysalin are spending time getting to know each other, Chrysalin being Paxson's sister, and Leofer being the Sorcerer's daughter and Paxson's wife. However, when they're out in the forest around Paranor, Chrysalin is kidnapped by unknown people and taken and held captive by Melis, which is the Witch of Murk Sink, a swampy, deadly land filled with all kinds of deadly and evil creatures, under the command of the Murk Witch. She must partner with a reluctant shapeshifter by the name of Imric to seek out and find Chrysalin and rescue her before Paxson returns, because she was left in charge to make sure Chrysalin was kept safe. Now, because of the dangers of shapeshifting and causing Imric to lose his identity, he needs a tether to the real world. He only agrees to help Leofer if she agrees to be his tether. This is done by forming a direct link between their minds. So Leofer, she feels, sees, hears everything Imric does. This intimate connection causes them to be closer and more intimate than any other two people ever should be, effectively becoming one. So Melis, she is just a little girl who wants companionship. Or is she this huge, hideous, ugly creature that keeps kidnapped young women in boxes and only lets them out to play? Perhaps she's both. She is evil, controlling, and, well, quite frankly, just not very nice. Well, she is a witch after all. She has spent her time with Chris, forcing her to eat or force-feeding her this root that restricts her access to speak, talk, or even sing, thus cutting her off from the witch song's magic she could use to free herself from her clutches. Now, Leofer is the Sorcerer's daughter. She's in love with Paxson and will do anything to free Paxson's sister. But at the same time, she's miserable with life at Paranor. She feels as though she's lost her purpose and that there must be so much more to life than what she gets at Paranor. She's not gifted with magic and finds her days boring and dull, often lonely as her only friend is Chris. Paxson all too often is away on missions protecting the druids while she stays behind, just really having no purpose. She's desperate for something, anything to do, just to occupy her time, and finds herself growing more and more dissatisfied with life and her marriage to Paxson. Imric, however, has provided her with a purpose, and she finds herself falling in love with him. Now, Imric, he's a really tragic character. He lost both his mother and his father at quite a young age. He learned early on that that he was a shapeshifter. His kind, however, are despised and feared by the world over, and simply put, they are not trusted. His mother was also a shapeshifter, and when his father found out, he killed her. Imric, in retaliation, killed his father and spent the rest of his childhood in hiding and living a wildly shape-shifting life. Terrified of the addictive power of shapeshifting and terrified of it driving him to near insanity, he desperately sought help at Paranor with druids who took him in, and he's lived his life essentially as a stable boy at Paranor ever since. Now, one side note, interesting point here that I think is worth mentioning is the characters of Cardlin and Mariah. Now, they're pretty minor characters overall in the book. These two druids did not play a big role in this book. They're part of the delegation for the peace talks. However, I think it is worth a mention. I've now read every Shannara book, and this is the first time there has been mention in my memory of any characters within the Shannara world that are gay. I thought this was pretty awesome, more so in the way it was done rather than the fact that the gay characters existed specifically. Their relationship as partners and lovers was treated as, well, quite frankly, normal and not out of the ordinary. Like, everyone knew what it was and saw it no differently than a heterosexual couple. Not really touched much on and essentially mentioned in passing. I thought it was good regardless, and nice just to see this treated in such a way within the story. Other books I've read, problem with those ones is either they severely overcompensate on the gayness of the character, or have a tendency to focus on the hate, discrimination, mistreatment of the LGBTQ persons within the books. I think this could have easily deserved a little more attention, but it was nice to have gay characters portrayed effectively no differently than a normal straight heterosexual person in a relationship. I thought that was pretty awesome. Overall, this was, of course, a good read and fun. Like all of Terry Brooks' books, Shannara, this is just as good as all the last ones. Just really fun book to read. Really liked it. One of the best sci-fi fantasy writers of the 21st century by far, or 20th century. First Shannara book came out in 1977. Easily 8 out of 10 bookworms, and I'm really looking forward to reading the final installment of the Shannara series titled The Fall of Shannara. First book titled in that series, The Black Elfstone. Although I have to admit, considering the title, it does sound a bit ominous that Shannara will be gone and no longer at the end of the next book series. Kind of scares me, but we'll see what happens. Shannara, again, great series, well worth the read. Definitely recommend it, and definitely look it up. As for the next book I will be reviewing is Year Zero by Rob Reed. Looking forward to this. I've heard a lot of good things, and that's like a pretty funny book. Guess we'll have to wait for the review to find out. But again, as always, don't forget to comment below, subscribe, share, tweet, and always I'm open to book suggestions. If you want to leave a comment below about what books you think I should pick up and read, I could add them onto my wish list. Don't know how long it will take to get there. I've got like 400 books in that. But thank you for watching, and hope you're having a great night. See you again soon.